we'll just start off with, how did you get into the competitive scene?
Well, I started off actually before fighting games. My first competitive tournament was actually Mario Kart DS, which it might be weird to some people, but ever since I won that tournament, I've been addicted to competing and showing off my skills. And yeah, just followed through to other games, mostly first-person shooters, and then we were always lifelong fighting game fans. So it was logical that when fighting game tournaments started up, we started getting as serious as possible.
How did you get into the fighting games? Like, did you actually go to any community events where you're going to, say, some things like the Box Hill Timeout community things, or Collingwood?
Well, when we first started out, Couch Warriors was running tournaments at Bandura University, RMIT, I think it's the one up there. That's when we thought we were pretty good at fighting games, me and my brothers, because we used to play against each other. And then when we went and played against real fighting game players, we got our ass handed to us. And then that was the big wake-up call, that we weren't actually playing fighting games like how they were supposed to. And ever since then, yeah, pretty much practicing and learning and going online and figuring out how to actually play fighting games.
So you're in the qualifiers today. Are you going to be at BAM? What games are you looking to compete in BAM?
My main game would probably be Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I just like the craziness of that. I will be entering Street Fighter 4 as well, and most likely Killer Instinct, if there's enough interest for.
Who's your favourite character in Ultimate Marvel?
X23 and Strider. I don't know. I can't choose between those two. Like, my team is X23, Akuma, Strider.
I saw that you you placed relatively good in previous BAMs. In terms of practice and training, how much time do you think will you devote to training?
I'll be honest, I haven't been practicing as much as I should have, especially if I want to win something like BAM or Shadow Showdown or any big tournaments. Mostly because we run our own event as well called Shadow Showdown once a year, and just trying to organize that takes a lot of time. And we run small events, and when you're one of the organizers, you're not really focused on playing. You're more focused on making sure everyone else is having a good time and stuff like that. But if I really want to take it seriously and want to win, then you're gonna have to at least put a couple hours a day. Yeah.
Okay, and do you travel interstate to other tournaments? And I think I saw that you've even competed overseas. What was that like?
Yeah, no, that was good. Like, whenever there's an interstate tournament, and if I can go, then I'll definitely go. There's, when you're playing against people from Melbourne, it's cool and all, but it's nice to be, like, as a Melbourne team going over to another state and trying to take on all the other states, and hopefully a Melbourne player does take it out, because state rivalry is a huge thing for fighting. Rivalry in general, like, it fuels you to play even better. And internationally, that's just on a whole nother level. You want to put Australia on the map. It doesn't come down to Melbourne versus Sydney or Melbourne versus the rest of Australia. It comes down to Australia versus the world. So that's the thing about international tournaments. You really want to do well just to get Australia noticed.
And in terms of the Melbourne and, in a wider sense, the Australian scene, how far do you think Australia is off being, I won't say a power in competitive gaming, but getting to a level where we can compete very well against overseas players?
I think there's a small handful of players in Australia in Street Fighter that have a very good chance of upsetting a lot of the international top players. Like, they'll have to put in a lot more effort as well, and it's going to come down to playing at their absolute best, but I reckon they can. In Marvel, I think we're a lot closer to international level than people think. We have a few standout players that have done well internationally, like Solid Steph from Melbourne, Baxter from Queensland. They both went to Singapore with us, and they finished top 8 in Marvel over there, and could have easily finished higher without a few mistakes here and there. And then there's Arnold from Sydney. So each state has one good player that I reckon is international level.
Okay. And before we go, I have to ask you, mate, how do you get those muscles so big? Those arms, mate, they're massive.
That's just from, like, playing on the sticks, man. Nah, I have gym life has been a big part of my life. It's video games, cars, weights, women, food. Not in that order.
Because we don't subscribe to the stereotype of gamers, but seriously, you destroy that stereotype with with that build, mate.
I'm glad to hear it. There's I think there's a thing called games and gains as well, which means like a lot of people are starting to get into that whole fitness side of things and try to, like you said, break the stereotypical gamer, which is cool. Like I think it's really cool. Like one of the best Street Fighter players, Daigo Umehara, in his book he writes about how it's not just about the mental state but your physical state as well. So that's why he actually trains and works out just to stay at that top elite level, which is, you know.
Thanks so much for your time, Ali. And we hope to see you again at BAM and to speak to you again. No worries. Thanks.